Julian Naglesmann agrees to join Bayern Munich in the summer of 2021. He rejects Tottenham along the way. We're going to delve into that in more detail. Plus, we're going to talk to you about Edison Cavani and Man United's battle to keep him. Luke Shaw and Emel Smith-Rowe are set for new deals, plus much, much more. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Let's go, people. Julian Naglesmann joins Tottenham, rejects Tottenham Hotspur, and it's a done deal, and he signs a 5-year contract at Bayern Munich. Huge compensation that is going to be paid to RB Leipzig, but this has been confirmed. This is done. This has been completed today. RB Leipzig themselves, here is their tweet confirming this information to everybody. The 33-year-old will take on his new role as head coach at Bayern on the 21st of July. The 1st of July 2021. Huge news. It really is this morning. Big for Spurs as well, because they were in hot pursuit, and there was a genuine chance of him coming to North London. It was something that a lot of credible Spurs journalists said was on the cards just a few short weeks ago, but not anymore. He will be the Bayern Munich manager. It shows the monopoly that Bayern Munich have in Germany. It truly does. But it's now a chance for Nagelsmann to fulfill his full potential, the potential that I know and you know he has. We know what a great young, talented manager he is. Now he moves on to the biggest stage in Germany that he can be on. There is no room. Winning league titles isn't enough. Winning league and cup doubles isn't enough. It's all about how you win the league, plus your Champions League exploits as well. So the pressure is really going to be on him. He's at one of the best and most well-run clubs in world football. It gives him an amazing opportunity to almost put to bed any doubts over his managerial ability. And I want to take a look here as well at something that's really important at his managerial record at Leipzig. We can take a look at this here. We look at the win percentage of this man. 58% of his games he wins. Just 17% of his games at RB Leipzig have been losses. And that's over 90 matches that we're looking at. And he just gets better and better. And at the age that he's at, there's a long way for him to go. There's a long way for him to improve. There is no doubt about it whatsoever. There's a comment here that says, Hansi Flick had an argument with the sports director of Bayern. That's why he had to leave. Yeah, look, the reasons around the needing a new manager, for me, are pie in the sky. I don't really care too much. I'm just, Julian Nagelsmann's a manager that I've sort of focused on and looked at for a long time now. Someone that I really wanted to see at Manchester United. But he isn't going to be at Manchester United. He's going to be the Bayern Munich manager. He may never manage Manchester United now. He may never come to the Premier League. He could spend the next 5, 6, 7 years at Bayern Munich. I don't know if he will. He certainly has age on his side. If he's good enough, if he can maintain the hunger while being there, why not? He's German. They're the biggest team in Germany. It feels like the whole of Germany is built around trying to make Bayern Munich the best team possible. It's like every club in Germany is a feeder club to Bayern Munich, whether it's players or managers. That's very much how it feels. But he goes into this job with so much anticipation around him. He really does. But as we say, what he does domestically isn't where he'll be judged. It isn't where he'll be fully assessed. It will be what he does in the Champions League that he is essentially assessed and judged on in Germany. There is no doubt about that. By the way, this morning, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like and that share button for us. Get that done now. Imagine Bayern Munich with 4-4-2 with Lewandowski and Haaland up front. Well, I don't even want to think about it. It just means they run away with their league. As I say, no one's too interested in the league level. Everyone's interested in what Bayern Munich do on a Champions League front. We want your views. We want your opinions on that this morning, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think of that? Is it too soon for for Nagelsmann? Is it the right time for him? Spurs fans, how do you feel being rejected? How do you feel knowing you've missed out on him? And what next for Tottenham? That's the big question that we want to pose to you today. We truly, truly do. There's a comment here. It says, Nagelsmann was never going to Spurs. The man has just had a house built near Bayern. I think Spurs will end up with Terrace. Well, that's an interesting one. He is linked. He is hugely linked with a move to Tottenham. But Tottenham needs someone good. Tottenham need a manager, I think, who doesn't need the big transfer budgets. Nagelsmann would have been perfect because what he's done with RB Leipzig is brilliant. Do I think Terrace could do a job here? We'll see. I think he's a better option than Graham Potter, a better option than Brendan Rodgers. I think he's a better option. I mean, they have been linked with Eddie Howe. He's a better option than him. So I would give him a go. Again, Terrace is a player that, again, as a Man United fan, if we got rid of Ollie tomorrow, he'd be somebody very high up on my list. Brilliant at developing youth. Brilliant for a club that may want to go and buy. Imagine what he could get at Bergwijn. He could rejuvenate his career, set him alight potentially in the Premier League. I think he could bring Dele Alli back to the fore. I think he could get 20% more at Harry Winks. And that's just looking at the players they've got, plus the individuals that he could sign. Imagine him working with Ndombele. It would be sensational. But Spurs fans, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Grizz said yesterday on the Big Six that Liverpool met with Dortmund officials last Monday to talk about Sancho. And he says, we won't sell Mane or Salah to get him. That's an interesting one there from listen, Grizz has got some serious clout in the industry. I spoke with me and Grizz know one of the same people involved that's close to Liverpool on an agent level. And he said to me 2 to 3 weeks ago that Liverpool will only buy a huge marquee signing if one of those players leaves. However, the landscape could have changed because of the Super League. I think what some of these American owners are going to try and do this summer is buy someone big, bold, shiny, new to deflect any negative attention away from that. Is certainly a possibility. Thank you, Ads, for sharing the Discord server. Really appreciate that, bro. Make sure you sign up to our Discord server, closing in on 3,000 users over there, which is absolutely amazing. We want to hear from you. We're going to share the link for you to call in very, very soon and have your say. Alan here says, for Spurs, next has to be Ten Hag. Nagelsmann rejecting Spurs is painful, but wish him all the best. Great young manager. Will the job be too big and consume him? Only time will tell. And that's a great point. That would be my only concern with him taking this job now is, will it be too big for him? I'd love to get you on and have your say, Alan, as well. We're going to go on to some other news now that's circulating as well this morning. We're going to go into some other topics for you as well. There is news out there circulating that Luke Shaw will be handed a new £190,000 a week contract at Manchester United. I really want people's thoughts and feelings on that. He's had an excellent season. There is no doubt about that he's had an excellent season for Manchester United. But does it warrant a brand new deal of £190,000 per week? Equally, an interesting article that I think people should be delving into today massively is in The Athletic. And the headline is they lost the Super League battle, but they're winning the war. Why the American owners in the Premier League will not sell up. It's an amazing article. Go and read it right now. They spoke to one of the biggest chief financiers in the world who's been heavily involved in multiple billionaires buying and selling clubs and franchises around the world. And he says there is no logical reason right now as to why the Cronkies, FSG, or the Glazers would sell. And I've echoed this sentiment on a number of occasions on social media. And people tend to not want to listen. They want to listen to the hullabaloo and the noise. It's so unlikely that these clubs are selling. There's only two ways that changes. It changes, one, if somebody makes an excessive, gargantuan, mammoth offer. So if a club's worth 3 billion, somebody offering 4.5, 5 billion. Are these astute billionaires going to do that? Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. The only other option is for fans to legitimately boycott. And for all these wonderful protests we've seen, do I believe in my heart of hearts that those Arsenal fans that turned up on Friday night, do I believe they will all cancel their season tickets? Do I believe they will all stop going to games? Do I believe they will stop buying the merchandise? Do I believe they will cancel Arsenal TV? Do I believe they may even go one step further and cancel Sky Sports and BT Sports or their equivalent in their country and make a stand? Will they go public and boycott and create petitions to boycott all of the club sponsors of Arsenal? And this goes for Liverpool and this goes for Manchester United, because until those things happen, until fans stand up and make themselves heard and say, we are not going to be moved, they're not selling. There isn't a financier in the world worth his salt who has come out and said there's a possibility of these clubs being sold outside of those two reasons. The only way they sell is a mammoth, excessive, ridiculous offer, or if the fans from the clubs pull their money. That's all I've got to say on that matter now moving forward. That's my view, and that is my opinion. Talking of new deals, there is another potential new deal in the offing here for another young English player, and that is Emel Smith-Rowe at Arsenal. There are talks that have started between Arsenal and Emel Smith-Rowe to tie him down to a new bumper pay deal that, I think Arsenal look at and they need to do, because I think Saka and Emel Smith-Rowe are the future. There is no doubt about that. But Arsenal need to improve. And I've said this on a number of occasions about Emel Smith-Rowe and about Saka. They are class. But Arsenal will not be able to keep them. They will not be able to keep them if they flop. They will not be able to keep them if Arsenal Football Club don't progress. So it makes brilliant business sense right now to renew the contracts of Saka, renew the contracts of Emel Smith-Rowe, and protect the asset from a business point of view. That needs to be done. That needs to be done right now, because if they don't improve Arsenal in the next 18 months to 2 years, these highly talented young players will look to leave. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. I'm sharing the link now. If you want to call in, I'm spamming that into the live chat. If you want to come on and have your say, I want to hear from you all right about now. Let's go through some of these live comments here. If you're talking to each other, I'll let you go on with it. Great news. The Cronkies and Glazers are staying. Excuse me. Yes, they are. And they will be for the foreseeable. They're not going anywhere. I keep saying this to people and I stand by it. They are not going anywhere. Legitimately, they are not going anywhere. They're really, really not. I don't quite know why people think they are going somewhere. I don't quite understand it myself. They're going absolutely nowhere, and they're going nowhere fast at the least. They're going nowhere fast at the least. Let's get to some of your calls this morning. I want to know what you're thinking and feeling about all the news that's come through today. First up, Ads is on the line with us. Ads, welcome to the back to the terrace, mate. What do you want to say?
Yeah, man, hope you're well. I just want to speak out on a few things actually. I want to speak out first on Spurs. I think we all knew, and I hope we all knew that Nagelsmann was never going to go to Spurs. Not for the reason in that he doesn't like them. I think even if he did go there, I think he probably would have been. I think if he went there, it would have been brilliant. But he just wasn't going to go there. I just think as a club, and as a top six club especially, they don't set high standards. I think all of the top six sides, them and Arsenal, don't really set high standards, and that is just in the current state that they're in. It can change in the future. I see it changing in the future for Arsenal, especially like you said. They have really, really good young players. All they need to do is just capitalize on that, bring in more experienced ones, and who knows, even the youngsters might improve and learn off of that, and even adapt even quicker than they are expected to. Also want to talk about Luke Shaw. I called out since day one, just before the season started, that Luke Shaw he's just a long-term player, man, and he deserved to be as well. I think before his injury and that big knock a few seasons back, it's just, it looked like the end, and that's why he brought Tellez in. But I said Luke Shaw is just immense. I said he is the best left back in the league before I started GNA TV, and when I started it only a few months ago.
Yeah.
And Luke Shaw for me, one of my favorite players. And I said the same thing about people like Martial. I said like the thing with Martial is he's not long term for me. I don't see him staying there, and I don't see him being here in the next 3 to 4 years. I don't see him being there in the next 3-4 years. But what I do see is him utilizing the time that he has in the next few seasons, and then probably jumping ship and going somewhere else. And that's just that's a solidified career for him. But I just think he's an inconsistent season player, as in he'll have some really good seasons, and then in a poor season for him, he'll have some good moments, but then at the same time, he will kind of go downhill like he has this season. I don't think he'll have a repeat of this year ever again. But if it does happen, then I think we need to sell him.
Fair play. Ads had his say there on Luke Shaw, mate. Thank you for coming on the show, mate. I really appreciate that, buddy. Thank you very, very much indeed. Luke Shaw's new deal. What do you all make of it? Next on the show, we've got Mr. Anthony. What you saying, bro?
Oh, morning, Terry.
Morning.
Showing my face.
Yeah, I realize that. What do you want to say? What's on your mind?
With regards to losing Nagelsmann, I think it's a bitter pill for Spurs fans to swallow, because I think they were really, really looking forward to him coming in. However, I do have a very, very good feeling that Sarri might be a very good fit for them as well, just like Ten Hag. So they should pursue Sarri. With regards to Luke Shaw, it's difficult to say whether he deserves a £190,000 contract, but he does deserve to stay in that United squad for what he has done this season. It's just he's been solid, man. And the last thing is, my birthday is on Thursday.
Okay.
And I'm hoping for a freaking win against Real Madrid tomorrow morning for me to celebrate my birthday, and that's the best gift that I can get from Chelsea. So, oh man, I'm really, really hoping for something special tomorrow morning, because it's going to be 5 o'clock in the morning for me when the game starts over here in Australia. But this is going to be peak if we do come out with something. But I did see something with regards to Varane in United. What's that about?
Sorry, say that again.
With regards to Varane thing ending with United, why is that? Like, why are United not doing it?
Because of Chelsea, predominantly, because he wants to go to you. That's literally the only real reason or rationale, bruv. If I'm being blunt with you, Chelsea want him. He's up for leaving Real Madrid. Real Madrid have pretty much conceded defeat on this now. He won't stay at Real Madrid with the way things sound. Normally, it's too unequivocal. And Chelsea are leading the race. So the reason why is because of you, Mugs.
No, but you know something. I've come to realize something. Like, I think I said this before as well. We can be mad at the club for doing the Super League thing. However, we can't stay mad at Roman, to be honest, because of what he has done for us and what he's gonna be doing as well in the summer. It's just incredible to like, for him, his passion to win. It's just so nice to see, to be honest. So I'm like hoping for a very good transfer window as well. So
I bet you are.
I'm like, man, I'm mad at the Super League stuff, but I'll never be mad at Roman, because I think if he wasn't there, we are not going to be here talking to you about top six and trying to win Champions League.
No, listen, I think you're absolutely right. There is this element of, I understand why Man United, Arsenal, and Liverpool fans or Spurs fans are angry, but I get why Chelsea fans wouldn't be. Bro, thank you very much for coming on and having your say with me this morning. Really appreciate that, buddy. Top man. Hit that like and share button, ladies and gentlemen. We've got some other news for you about Man United and a striker situation. Doesn't look like Cavani can be convinced to stay. United are looking at alternative options. Ousmane Dembele is also one of them. We will go into that in a little bit later on in the show for you as well. Harrison here says, so when United get told they're leading the race for a player, it's all nonsense. But when it's Chelsea, it's the gospel truth. Chelsea's track record is brilliant compared to Manchester United. That's what it comes down to. It's like the boy that cries wolf. And the history of Chelsea stepping into a transfer saga and winning the battle, I feel like it's unprecedented. So it isn't about it not being believed. It's more, do we believe the Man United team can get the deal over the line compared to the Chelsea team? That's what it comes down to, Harrison, for me. It's about looking at it from that point of view. The comment here says, so Nagelsmann is out. Who would your next manager be for United if Ollie fouls? It's a tough one because Nagelsmann and Poch were my number one, number two choices. So I have to really start to think about it. And then you think of Ten Hag as an example for one. Outside of that, I haven't really spent much time thinking about it. If I'm being blunt, it's something I'm going to have to assess now. They were the two choices that I spent a lot of time looking at and researching, thinking, yes, I want those two. Ten Hag is one that stands out at the top of my head. But research would be needed now. It would be ridiculous for me just to throw out 2 or 3 more new names in relation to that. It really, really would. Let's do some more of your comments here. Ryan Giggs, that's probably not going to happen. He could be in prison. He could be in prison for all we know. Like, not that I'm laughing about him actually being in prison, but like that's where he could be. So definitely won't be managing Man United if he's behind bars. That is a certainty. I think you could call that a certainty. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. All right, let me just go to some more of these comments. We're going to have Ram come on the show now and have you say, morning, Ram. How you doing?
Yo, morning, Terry. Is everything good?
Perfect. What do you want to say?
Yeah, it's just on. I've got quite a lot of things to say. Bayern Munich getting Nagelsmann was not a surprise to anyone. I think he was always going to be going to Bayern Munich. It's how Bundesliga's run. It is more of a sense of Bundesliga's run for its national interest. That's why Germany do so well and consistently. It's because when Bayern Munich are the monopoly, it tends to be that much of the players that are playing for Germany are playing for Bayern Munich. So it's basically Bayern Munich in the World Cup or the Euros. So it was always going to be like that. I said it to the likes of Elena and Alex. You're never going to get Nagelsmann. It was always going to be him going to Bayern Munich. And honestly, I think they should look for a guy like Erik ten Hag. Has a very similar style to Mauricio Pochettino, very attacking, fluid football. And the most important thing, he likes to bring in young players, which I think Daniel Levy loves to do. Like if he has a very good, talented young crop of players, he would want the manager to get the best out of them. It's as simple as that. On the the Rafael Varane situation. I was listening last night and I couldn't believe what I was hearing from German Anita saying that they wouldn't want Rafael Varane. Like, I get it, they want a natural born leader, but the problem with that is that there aren't any natural born leaders out there like they used to be. Like they are an incredibly rare breed. Like off the top of my head, I can name about 4, but those 4 are probably unattainable for the likes of Chelsea. So I think rejecting a guy like Rafael Varane is absolutely ludicrous. And the experience that man has playing in the World Cup, like people say, oh, Mustafi won a World Cup, but if you look at that back line that he played against, a back line that was so inexperienced and had the most experienced players was Hugo Lloris, it speaks volumes of how good he was at that World Cup. It's as simple as that. I think they're absolutely ludicrous in saying, oh, we don't want Rafael Varane. It's as simple as that. And it was a good point that you made about the American owners with the summer transfer window, because already I'm seeing the likes of Christian Falk saying that Liverpool are going in for Florian Neuhaus and Jadon Sancho. And it was like, it was kind of expected with the PR and the stuff that happened with the European Super League. You expect a lot of English clubs like your Uniteds, Arsenals, and Liverpools to go big in the summer to try and appease the football fans, and is not ideal because I don't want FSG running the club. I think they've made too many mistakes, and they just need to sell up and give it to someone else who actually wants to win trophies. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it's but they're not going to. The only way this is the point, and I've said it for over a week now, and it's just being ignored. Not because people are ignoring me, more people are saying it than I, but I'm just saying it, I put it out there. These owners only sell if people will actually boycott.
Yeah.
Protests are great. But you know what I saw? What I saw at the protests, I was like, fair enough. But I saw people turning up in the merchandise of the club. And that's not an issue. They've already bought it, right? But I was sitting there thinking, these people are going to buy the new kits, the new hats, the new training tracksuits, the new trainers. You know, if it's wavy, they'll buy it. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you know, the kids want it, they'll buy it. A lot of people that I saw turn up to Arsenal's and Man United's, I know, are season ticket holders. I know they're going to renew their season tickets. And I'm not saying they shouldn't protest. I'm pointing out to them, if they keep putting the money in, their protests are futile. It's folly. It's just noise in the end, and they won't be going anywhere. And I wouldn't be surprised if all of the clubs that are under pressure this summer spend big on at least one player, one exciting player, and get everybody's juices flowing. There's no doubt about it. And with Spurs, you know, they bring in Ten Hag as a manager. Everybody stops thinking about Enoch. The Enoch out movement ends as soon as they sign an exciting manager that get the juices flowing. If Man United land a top player, if you guys line Sancho but keep Mane and Salah, if that happens, do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? So
it's a winger that we've been crying out for because of the likes of Mane and Salah been running to the ground for the last couple of seasons, and it's been showing this season. And everyone says they want like a Pedro Neto, but if we get Jadon Sancho, who everyone's been saying we're not going to get him because he's too expensive, boy, I don't know how the fans are going to react. It's as simple as that.
There we go. Ram, thanks for coming on, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate that, buddy. Top man, all the viewers that are tuning in right now, make sure you've hit that like button, please. Make sure that's hit right this second. Thank you. Let's do some more of these comments here. David said, priority positions in order are right wing, CDM. I don't know what WI is. Oh, maybe meant with Cavani going, another striker is needed. Well, it's interesting that you bring us onto that point as it stands, actually. It's an interesting one that you bring up because that's where our next bit of focus is. That's where our next bit of focus is on today's show. News this morning has said that Manchester United are losing the battle to keep Edinson Cavani at Manchester United. He needs replacing. He hasn't been the most prolific. Per minute, he's been very, very good. There's no doubt about it. Only played 1,600 minutes this season, which is is about 18 games or so. And I think he has around 10 goals and maybe 12, 13 goal contributions across all competitions. So his impact when he's played has been pretty good. But he wants to move back to South America. This is a big issue for Manchester United. Manchester United here need to ensure that they're looking beyond the end of their nose and they are prepared. It's another bit of news out this morning that says that Man United, that the Barcelona manager is fighting a losing battle to keep 52 million rated Ousmane Dembele, with Chelsea and Manchester United circling. Man United have had options and potential to buy him on a number of occasions in recent years. The question is whether or not they can get the job done. Do Man United just go for sort of a multitude of inside forwards and play with a false nine? Or do we go and try and find a number nine? Number nine is a very rare commodity. So maybe somebody like Ousmane Dembele coming in with the Greenwoods, the Rashfords and the Martials that we already have, excuse me, could improve our lot in relation to that. And it is important because Manchester United's attacking options outside of Cavani, I wouldn't say are limited, but they need to be improved. There is no doubt that these attacking options at Manchester United need to improve moving forward. Simply does. Simply does. Because if Cavani leaves, I still think it's too early to put all that pressure upon Mason Greenwood. Rashford's had a decent season, but he's phased out because he's been carrying the team for so long, playing through injury. But he can't be rested. He can't be rested because nobody else has been scoring or performing on a consistent basis, namely Anthony Martial. And we see this when we look here at the figures. When we look at the figures here for Man United's attacking options, look at Rashford. Just light years in front of everybody. Light years in front of everybody. Absolute light years. Goals are in blue, assists are in gold. We need so much more from our attacking players next season. Greenwood and Cavani, by the way, their numbers have shot up in the last 3 to 4 weeks. We need so much more. So with us losing this battle right now to keep Cavani at Manchester United, it becomes absolutely imperative that as we go into next season, we have new options. So we either keep Cavani and then focus on other positions, or he has to become a priority to replace. That doesn't mean like for like number 9 per se, but it does mean that Manchester United need to fix this area. If we don't, if it is not addressed, we will find ourselves again starting the season with one hand tied behind our backs. And if we do bring somebody in as a replacement, it has to be done sooner rather than later. None of this, we're already 3 games into the season and Sancho or Ousmane Dembele joins. That for me, again, is regressive. They need a proper pre-season, a rest if possible. Integration with their squad. You know, I feel like if Cavani, for instance, had signed for Man United and Terrace in early in the summer and were ready for the beginning of the season, we could have started off the campaign so much better. Remember, 3 losses in our opening 5-6 games. Could have been very different. Where we are in the league right now could have been very different. That business is imperative. But Man United fans, who comes in? Who comes in to replace Cavani, as it does appear that Manchester United are losing the battle to keep him at the club? I want you to come on. I want you to have your say. I'm going to share the link now in the comment section again below. Harrison here says, Terry, I'm noticing a pattern here since the draw with Leeds and Ollie out trending. There's been a lot more negative news released. Just look at Chelsea linked with hijacking all our players we've been linked with. Yeah, listen, but what's the... I mean, of course, there's always negative news. Every time Man United have a bad game, there's negative news that follows. There's no doubt about it. If we get beat by Roma on Thursday, Glazer out dies. There'll be the protest Sunday, and then it will fade away. Fans will never stay on point. They never will. They'll never stay on point and focus on bigger issues. They'll never focus on the fact that this here on the screen right now in front of you, this is a bigger issue at Manchester United than Ollie. The club giving us better attacking options moving into next year. They're never going to focus on it. They never focus on it. They never, ever do. And they should be. That's where the focus should be. But it never is. We never focus on the proper issues. Ever. It's never done. We're going to go to some more calls here. We have... who we're going to go to here? We're going to get Sanja Hussein on the line. Welcome back to the Terrace, mate. What are you saying?
Hi, Terry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, bro. What do you want to say?
All right. I hope you're doing well, Terry. And I just wanted to say first about the Nagelsmann issue. If you were Julian Naglesmann, right, would you rather choose your boyhood club that just won a sextuple, or would you rather choose the club that Gareth Bale is using as a training ground? To be honest, I don't know what Spurs fans expected. I mean, this is no harsh feelings towards them, but I mean, Nagelsmann, he's been a Bayern fan. He stayed for such a long time. He's wanted to be a part of the club. And even before Leipzig faced United, he even joked around. He said, you know what, I'm going to kick Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because I was pissed when he scored the goal in 99. Like, that's just passion right there, you know, that he's fit for the club. And when you see Flick leaving, I mean, if you're a Bayern fan, I think surely you're going to go up to your club and say, you know what, you can take the Salzburg manager. He's just as good as me. I'll go to Bayern Munich instead. So it's not really a surprise. Like, he's done very well in Germany. He's taken clubs like Hoffenheim, which I doubt many people even know of, to Champions League. And right now he's about to take Leipzig to probably a cup final, the Pokal, I think that's what they call it. So he's a very good manager. And, you know, Bayern Munich, they once hired Niko Kovac, who actually has managed fewer games than Nagelsmann, which sounds crazy, but it is true considering Kovac has been in management for longer than Nagelsmann. So the question regarding, is there too much pressure for Nagelsmann? I don't think so. And I'm also saying this because he also has a few players in Bayern that he's managed before, like Gnabry, for example. He's managed him before at Hoffenheim, so I think he will be fine. It's just all about building that social relationships that his philosophy is kind of revolved around, because he said that 30% of his philosophy is tactics and the other 70% is based on building a bond with the team. So I think Nagelsmann will be great. It's unfortunate for Spurs fan, but that's just how it is. And for Spurs, I think they should just go for Erik ten Hag, because the thing with ten Hag, I'd like to apologize, Terry, but it's like he's very good in terms of possession football, and I think he's somewhat similar to Pochettino as well in the way that his team attacks sometimes and keeps possession. And the other thing is for ten Hag is that he's at Ajax, where they don't spend a lot of money. Their most expensive transfer ever was Sebastian Haller, and he was only like 20 million euros. I'm sure and I'm hopeful that he might be able to get better funds at Spurs regardless of their ownership. And I think he can make a better squad, because I think they also need more technical players in order to fit his style. But yeah, that's just the situation for Nagelsmann and ten Hag that I just had to talk about.
No, absolutely. Look, Julian Naglesmann, as we can see here, his win percentage at RB Leipzig is excellent, and it's got better and better as things have progressed forward. He's a sensational manager. And will it be too soon for him? No one knows. Like, legitimately, right now, nobody knows. We have no way of actually knowing, in terms of cold, hard facts in front of us, whether or not it's going to be too much too soon for him. But when you speak to most people, when you speak about Julian Naglesmann, are so infused, so encouraged, so excited about what this man has got to, what there is to come from him as far as football is concerned. I think he's going to do a sensational job. And I said it earlier on in the video that maybe he'll never join Man United now. I'm probably wrong in that already. Like, reflecting on my own words, 38 minutes into a stream, most managers don't last too long at Bayern Munich, 4, 5, 6 years.
Yeah, that's true.
My view is this: go there, Nagelsmann, do 4, 5, 6 years, win everything you got to win. And then maybe he's ready for a Manchester United. Maybe then, and I'm not saying he isn't ready for a Manchester United now. I actually think Man United and Spurs would be wrong for him now. Not that we're bigger than Bayern Munich, but because Bayern Munich's run perfectly. Bayern Munich is a well-oiled machine. Doesn't work out for every manager. We know that.
Right.
But it's the best environment. If you're going to go to one of the big major clubs, go to one that's run well. Go to one that's in good standing. Go to one that's operating at a high level right now. Do that, and you give yourself the best opportunity to win. You give yourself the best opportunity to be successful. And then who knows what can happen from there on in. Great call, mate. Thank you very much for coming on the show, mate. Really do appreciate that, buddy. Top man. Make sure that like button is being hit, ladies and gentlemen. We want to hear from you this morning. A really good call. Lots that we're talking about today. Nagelsmann to Bayern Munich, Cavani leaving Manchester United, and what does this mean for Manchester United's attack? Luke Shaw linked with a new big money contract at Manchester United. We want your thoughts and we want your feelings on that as well. Get those super chats into us. A new 190k deal scheduled for a man like Luke Shaw. Talks have begun. And we also want your instant reaction to what's been said today about the American owners. The American owners are said to not be selling, not for love, not for money. There are a number of financiers out there that believe it is folly to believe that these owners may actually sell. They don't believe it's going to happen. They think everybody should relax. They think that it's, to a degree, a nonsense. They're not going to be selling. So what do you think and feel? Phone in now. The link has been shared a few times prior. I'm going to share it again now in the comment section below. Some super chats here. First one says, disappointed that Flick was forced to leave Bayern. It's kind of the nature of the beast, though. That's because, I'm going to be blunt, it's because Bayern Munich will run well. Bayern Munich know how they want football to be played. They're in control. The manager's never the top dog. He's a coach. That, for me, is a much more sensible way of setting up and running a football club. It has to be based on a club philosophy. That way, if one manager comes in, I always hear Man United fans do this, and it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. They see Bayern Munich sack a manager that's failing or having a poor season. Like Flick, he comes in and wins a treble. Or he might have won more than the treble, actually, but they win a treble. And they go, see, big clubs sack managers and get success. Why don't my club just sack their manager? We could get success. But they ignore the biggest and most important fundamental element, that Bayern Munich are a well-oiled machine. The coach is just one of the cogs in the machine that makes it work. And if that one cog isn't working, it's a simple replacement that's needed. If your whole system is based around that manager, your whole philosophy and club is built around that manager, the scouting system, the playing style, the diet, the transfer negotiations, the squad. If it's based on a manager's philosophy as opposed to a club, it's harder to sack and replace because it means a rebuild. And when Arsenal and Manchester United fans wake up and smell the coffee, that until our clubs are run correctly, sacking and replacing managers with the ease and simplicity that Bayern Munich appear to be able to do it with is never going to happen, nor be conducive with winning. Only a fool would believe this. Only a person pushing an agenda or with no brains would push this. Think about it. If you're not run well, there is no club foundation, no club philosophy. How can you replace a manager quick and easy? Chelsea have success with it, or have had success with it. Why? Because the clubs run in a particular way. With the club philosophy, they buy players for the club, not for managers, generally speaking. And of course, managers have their input and say. It's part of the reason they employ them. But they operate seamlessly with or without that said manager. They don't change their approach. And that's what needs to happen. Got some more super chats to delve into here. A man like KC says, Bayern aren't well run. Politics behind the scenes is the reason why Flick wants to leave. And they had a lot of bad managers and signings. Well, of course, being well run doesn't mean you don't have arguments with managers. You don't buy duds. You don't bring in dud managers. That's not what a well-run, like a well-run business still makes mistakes. Doesn't mean they're impervious. Doesn't mean they're not human. But it means they're quick, easy to fix. Imagine Bayern Munich spent 3 years building everything around Flick, and then they get rid of him. They've got to start again. They don't now need to start again. They go to a manager, they say, listen, this is the squad. We know there's a few holes. What can you get out of this squad? Not, here's a squad. What do you need? 15 new players, please. New chefs, new diets. Can you put some trees up in the training ground so photographers can't see? I'm going to separate the squad. So no first team player can eat with a reserve player. No coaches can eat with players. You know, whatever it may be. None of this nonsense. The club runs in the same way. So there is continuity at its core. That's how winning is done at the highest level. Get Martinez for 40 odd million and clear the 40 million. Sorry. And clear their 40 million debt with the clubs. Yeah, a lot of people want him to come to Man United as an option. I do hear you on that one. We've got David coming on the line next to have his say this morning. Trent Alexander-Arnold has more goals since January than Leroy Sané since November. What's your point? There has to be a point at the end of that statement. I'd love to hear it. What is the point? We got David here with us. David, morning, mate. How are you?
I'm good. Well, I'm not too good actually, because Nagelsmann's now Bayern manager, so Dortmund aren't winning anything anytime soon, which is great. Nagelsmann's a fantastic manager. He's honestly ridiculous, and why Spurs fans thought they had a chance in the first place, I will never know. I honestly don't. Them lot, Graham Potter. Honestly, I'm being genuinely honest. Graham Potter is probably Spurs' best option, because Graham Potter will do things with that squad that I think will actually do really well for him. I think the squad's already quite well built for him. Or maybe Ten Hag, maybe if he wants to leave Ajax and go to Tottenham. But Nagelsmann is a step above them already. He is. He's fantastic. Man made Mark Uth, who nobody's ever heard of, scored 20 league goals one season. He sold him off for 20 mil. Guy couldn't score like 3 goals the next season after. His team will create chance. It's not Pep style football. It's not exactly the same, but when it comes to the chance creation, that is what Nagelsmann brings. He will make his squad just create so many chances that those strikers will not miss. Like, it's ridiculous. He will, if he's there for 3 years, Bayern probably win all Bundesligas, 2 Pokals and the Champions League, 2 Champions League maybe, because I think he's that good. I think he's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, do you know what's going to end up happening? He's going to go there. He's going to kill it. He's going to win leagues. What is their FA Cup called?
The DFB Pokal.
Pokal. Okay, so he'll win the Pokal. He'll win the league 2 or 3 times. I think it's a 5-year deal. I think he might see his 5 years out as well. All goes well, and he might win a Champions League or 2. Then he'll leave, because it doesn't matter how well run a club is. 5 years is like a long time. People burn out. It's hard to then rebuild again. Bayern will look to move on. He'll look to move on. And then he's going to cost a Premier League club or a Spanish club ridiculous amounts of money to bring in if he wins all of that. And fair play to him. I also think as well, as I say, I don't think any of the Premier League clubs are ready for him. When I really deep it, like Man City have got Pep, so he's moving now, so that can't happen. Liverpool, Klopp, Liverpool and City are the only two Premier League teams that are ready for him in terms of the way their clubs are structured and run. They are run pretty well. I know Liverpool fans are on at FSG. That's more morality and integrity rather than how well run they are as a football club. But the rest, Chelsea have got Tuchel, so no good for them. But Spurs, Man United and Arsenal, they're just not well run enough for him. He will fail at those clubs because he's too young and inexperienced to manage the circus that comes with them, if that makes sense. Where Bayern Munich, they may not always get it right, but they're a well-oiled machine. They know what side their bread's buttered, and they will get the best out of him, I think.
Also, if the thing is with Bayern, if things go wrong, they can just buy the rest of the league anyway. They'll just go to all the other clubs who have good players and be like, we'll take you, and you. Because like that's what they do. They effectively just weaken the competition, so they always stay on top anyway. So, and when you have probably, I'd say now, the best manager in the competition, but it's destined that they're going to do well. It is destined they are going to do well. So, I mean, he hasn't won a trophy yet, but again, in Germany, like, if you're not Bayern manager, are you meant to win a trophy? Probably not. So I think he's fantastic. Honestly, I think he's fantastic.
No, I hear you on that. In other news, Chelsea massively linked with Raphael Varane, and a couple of your fellow Chelsea. Listen, in fact, let me say this bluntly. Anita didn't slag him off as a player. She just said that she doesn't want a centre-back and she wants a club to buy some leaders. She didn't necessarily say centre-back leaders. That's all her point was. Jem said he's a pace merchant and just another Christiansen. Do you agree?
No. Like, again, the whole notion of, this Varane guy can't be a leader. Who was this leader when he won World Cup with France? Umtiti. No, like, he's a competent centre-back. Does he have pace? Yeah, but that's an advantage as a centre-back. And he's better than Koundé right now. Koundé's 22 and he's 5'10". he's going to get bodied in the air. And we don't really have an aerial threat anyway, because we'll end up playing Thiago Silva and Koundé. And when Chris Wood shows up for Burnley, get absolutely destroyed because he'll just dominate them in the air. So I would take Varane 100%. He'd be our best centre back.
This is what was said. This is what was said yesterday.
Would he be a good addition to the team? Okay, I guess. I want a defender who is a leader. Is Varane that? Let's ask Ramos, because whenever Ramos is injured, Varane doesn't really have good games. But hey, that's what I'm going to say. Because if I speak, I'm in big trouble.
She's right.
You agree, Jay?
She's
You
right.
agree?
Yeah, he's a pace merchant, and let's be serious. He's just a pace merchant. He's look. People always throw it in our face and go, "Oh, he's won a World Cup." Mustafi won a World Cup. Does that mean he's great? Do you know what I mean? Like it winds me up. The guy he's good next to a leader, but like Anita says, without a leader, he's vulnerable in games. I want someone that's going to come into Chelsea and be the new John Terry. I don't want someone to come in and be the new Christensen. Do you know what I mean? But an upgrade from him in terms of his distribution, pace. Yeah, he's a good defender. But is he the man? Is he the model of defender that Chelsea need for the next upcoming years? The leader, because that's what we lack. Leaders is something Chelsea haven't got. Varane is not a leader. So I agree with Anita. I hear what she says, 100%.
I mean, there are a few points in there. The leadership thing, I get that. I do get that point. So I don't necessarily disagree with Anita. The
pace merchant.
The pace merchant thing. Look, listen, I love Jem. Do you know what's really mad as well, right? I see some people going to Terrace, they all chat rubbish. I'm like, hang on. There isn't another member of the Terrace that agrees with this. Everyone, last night the group chat was, I never seen a group chat popping like it. But listen, that's what they have to say.
Ultimately, Tuchel I believe Tuchel wants to go to a back four. I don't have any sources or anything. I just believe that personally from what I've seen from Tuchel in the past. I think he wants to go to a back four. And in order to play a back four, we cannot have a back four of Rudiger and Christensen, because as we've seen, they make too many mistakes. Varane will come in and be better than those two in a back four. Then if you add in, if you want to buy another centre back, maybe, and him be the leader like a Romagnoli from AC Milan, that's cool. But another thing I don't understand is you don't only have to have leaders at centre back. You can have leaders in other positions. Varane will tell the defence, "Oh yeah, you guys sort yourself out." And because most of our defence is French anyway, they'll probably speak French to each other. So like, I don't really get the whole I don't want Varane. I can't understand how we have centre backs of Rudiger, Christensen, and we're like, Varane, nah, we don't need him. Nah, we don't need him. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion. We want yours, viewers. Hit that like button and share. But Monster's with us now this morning as well. Morning, mate. How are you? How you feeling ahead of a big game tonight?
It's kind of worrying because obviously Real Madrid is a great Real Madrid team with leaders and winners of, these guys have won the Champions League, four times, almost each and every single one of them. Like, it's the same team that's been winning all these Champions League trophies. We're coming against an experienced team with world-class players, a world-class midfield, world-class defenders, and obviously Varane being one of them, who they're saying is a pace merchant. I mean, where the hell did that come from? I don't know where these guys got their information from in terms of that one, but yeah, it is worrying because, this is a team that's been there and done that, and it's a team that, when it comes to, they might not be that good this season, but you can always rely on players that have done everything they need to have done before to drag you out the mud. Listen, think about it. Chelsea, when we won the Champions League, we weren't necessarily the greatest team in the competition that season. We were quite bad, actually. But, we depended on the leaders, the guys that have been there and done it to win it. Do you know what I mean? And Real Madrid have that. So it is that part that worries me. But apart from that, I think our team is competent enough to do something. So we'll see. I'm not going to straight out go out and say, "Oh yeah, we're just going to win." It's not as easy as that. But we'll see. We'll see. No,
I hear what you're saying, mate. I look at it. You never write Real Madrid off like you say. I think Chelsea have such a good chance though, because you're almost impenetrable, and that's such a key commodity in Champions League and knockout football. Not conceding goals, and Real Madrid did well against Liverpool. But that's because Liverpool did something stupid and they continue to play with that stupid high line.
Right.
And
Yeah.
when you've got a man like Vinicius, who, to be honest, I don't know if he could score in a brothel on a regular basis. He looks like Lionel Messi. He looked like Lionel Messi against Liverpool because that
2
high line
goals against them. Before
I
that,
know.
he can't score for nothing. Like, he's a horrible finisher.
If they would have sat back and like 10 yards, I don't know if Real Madrid would have scored. I don't know if they would have done. It was crazy to me. But as Neek says here, you can't write off Zidane as well. Zidane's tactical nous is very good. Jem's in the comments. Jem says Varane is a good defender, but he's not the style of defender that I want at Chelsea. Pace merchant was to trigger the Varane lovers. I do hear you on that, bro. But maybe you have.
What does he mean by he's not the style of defender that we need at Chelsea? I mean,
he wants a new John Terry.
What John like, I hear people talk about, oh, you want a leader and blah blah. Can someone please explain to me how many leaders are out there to just go and buy? Do you get what I mean? In fact, John Terry, who everyone's talking about, is he came through our academy. We didn't buy him. Do you get what I mean? You could say a Rio Ferdinand, but Rio Ferdinand, Man United had to pay a record amount of money to buy him during that period. And they're not just out. There's not just leaders everywhere. Varane is someone who has done everything. He's won everything. And people are saying he needs his handheld. He didn't need his handheld at a World Cup when they won it. He didn't need his handheld then. Like, come on. We've got Thiago Silva as well, too. If you want to say hold his hand, he's still here. Come on, man. I think Varane is a very competent enough defender. He's better than Koundé, in my opinion. He's done everything. I mean, yeah, most people are judging him based off that one game against Man City. But yes, Gabriel Jesus did fry him up. But they won. People forget about the whole season where they won the La Liga and also this season where they're doing well. Ramos ain't played all season and they're in the Champions League semi-final and in the title race in Spain. Come on, people. What are we doing there, man?
Do you know what's interesting? I mean, what's going to be an interesting twist to this story is if Timo Werner, as one spoke to, if he drops this is what, it's built up nicely. There's a comment here, though. I've got 2 Chelsea boys on with me. Casey says Varane is much better than John Terry.
I mean, no, maybe technically, but like Van Dijk's probably better than most of the centre backs technically, but he's not a better defender.
No, if you were to say Sergio Ramos, then I would get that. Sergio Ramos, I don't even think there's an argument there. I think Sergio Ramos is better than John Terry. But Rafael Varane, come on, man. Like, come on, let's be serious, man. Let's be serious.
I think that is a definitely a hot take. That there's no doubt about that whatsoever. What was your reaction to the Nagelsmann news today? That he's basically the Bayern Munich manager, Monstar. Did you see that one coming? What's your thought? Do you have any sort of commiserations for Spurs fans?
As soon as they said Hansi Flick was leaving, it was obvious that Nagelsmann was going to Bayern Munich. And when I heard Elena saying, they want Nagelsmann, I kind of laughed. I chuckled. You know what I mean? That was funny. They got jokes for days. They were never getting Nagelsmann. Now I'm hearing them talk about Ralph Rangnick. There's no way that's going to work at Tottenham. He's another Bielsa where he wants full control. He's not going to work at Tottenham. I don't even think they're going to hire him. Like David said, go for Dean Smith or what's the Brighton manager's name? The league gunner?
No, genuinely, Graham. I know people take the piss, right? I know people take the piss, and Brighton aren't having a great season, like on the face of it. When you actually got under the hood, like it's an awful car. But when you go under the hood of the car, the engine's looking quite good. The underlying numbers for Brighton are actually very good. And I think if instead of you had Neil Maupay up front, you had Harry Kane, and instead of on wing, instead of Solly March, you got Heung-min Son, suddenly I think Spurs would. One, he plays attractive football as well. So there's that on top of it because Spurs fans don't like really winning. They just like to look good. Don't know why. So yeah, he'll look good, but they would actually do quite well. Would he win them a trophy? Well, yeah.
It doesn't matter if he doesn't. They love Poch, and Poch didn't win him a trophy. Graham Potter might not be a bad choice. I think they could get Ten Hag. I think he's achievable, but it all depends who else comes in because for Nagelsmann, I think they could have got him if nobody else big wanted him. Does that make sense? And it's a bit like Arsenal. If Jack Grealish wants to leave, Arsenal fans keep talking about, we're going to get Jack Grealish. The only way they land Jack Grealish is if nobody else wants him, but he wants to leave Villa. And that's the only way Spurs were getting Nagelsmann for me. As soon as Bayern Munich put their hat in, it was done. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's over and out. Super chat here from Mr. Anthony says, we as Chelsea fans are spoilt for choice. Give Varane to any other club, they will jump at the chance. Trust in Tuchel. Pineapple in the mud. Talking about. That's funny, right? Where I'm jealous with Chelsea right now is they've got the Jimenez deal. They could have Jimenez tomorrow if they wanted him. They could get Koundé tomorrow if they wanted him. They've done the groundwork on that. They've done a lot of there was a lot of interest. As soon as Real Madrid made it clear that Rafael Varane would leave, bang, straight in there for him. The order of centre-backs you could sign, say Rafael Varane changes his mind and stays, you've got Koundé as a fullback. If that doesn't go through and you still want to buy one, you've got Jimenez there. I'm just jealous because that's just like the pecking, your number one, number two, number three choice are just impeccable. Man United are looking at Ben White. It's just, it's enraging.
I think Ben White would be better in the Premier League than Jules Koundé, personally.
No. Yeah. But Ben White's a back three. Like, I remember last season when he was at Leeds on loan and they were saying, he's a Rolls Royce of defenders and blah, blah. And I was just looking at like, bro, like he was doing that in the Championship. The Premier League is a different animal. He's in the Prem now and he's doing quite decent. He is quick. He is a good defender. I just think he suits a back three a little bit more. Maybe he could work with Harry Maguire, but he plays for England, doesn't he? Or what country does he play for?
Ben White, he's English, but he hasn't gotten
into this. I would love to see how he would work for England at Harry Maguire, but I would say like that would be a better option to see before Man United actually go in for him. Just see how it works.
I mean, he's better than Connor Cody, so he gets in the team.
He is a good defender, and he's good with the ball at his feet. I think he's a very good defender. Man United is a big step up. It's a massive step forward. You know what I mean? Like even a lot of the greats that Man United have bought, like Rio Ferdinand, before he came to Man United, he was at Leeds, and Leeds were, people don't understand how great Leeds were at the time, so it wasn't that big of a step up. We're now going from Championship to Brighton to Man United. That's a huge step forward. I don't know.
It's true, and it's a different type of defending you have to do. When you play for a big club, there's a lot more one-on-one defending because your team presses forward, which means you expose more, and that's why Harry Maguire has looked. I don't think he's been. I really think he's been terrible at Man United, but he gets exposed more than at Leicester because at Leicester there was a system that protected him. That you weren't playing with higher line. You had defenders and a bank of four in front of you. So there was a lot less space in between the lines and in the half spaces. That doesn't happen. It's why we know Aaron Wan-Bissaka defensively is so good because everything's one-on-one defending. It's not defending in a unit, which makes it a lot easier to do, generally speaking. So, yeah, it's with Ben White, you just don't know how he's going to cope with being open. And there's a few games I've seen him in this year. I go back to Man United, Brighton, where they were a bit open at the back, and Rashford put him on toast. And I just think, how would he fare being that open and that exposed? 95% of the time in games, it is a real tough one. And I'm sure it would trigger Man United fans. We always get triggered if we sign an English player or a British player. They don't like it. They get really annoyed. It seems to really wind them up for some reason. It's just they're fuming about it. But there we go. Terry, remember you said that Van Dijk was going to flop when he went to Liverpool. That's not true. That isn't true at all. You're getting me confused with another YouTuber that I believe said he was the Dutch Chris Smalling. It wasn't me that said he would flop. I said there'd be a lot of pressure on him. And I said I didn't know how good he was going to be, but he elevated and did brilliantly. Yeah, I definitely didn't say that. If you find video footage of me saying that, then I'll admit my mistake. But I'm pretty sure I didn't say that about him. I didn't think he was worth 75 million at the time. I will be honest in saying that, but I didn't say he's going to be crap. I'm pretty sure of that anyway. But there we go. Super chat here says it's depressing seeing Chelsea's owners caring for their club while Kroenke just takes the piss out of us. Hashtag Kroenke out.
I don't know why Arsenal fans or Man United fans think these owners are just going to sell their clubs, like because the fans. I don't want to sound rude, but just because the fans say they want them to sell, they're just going to sell their clubs. Like, where does this logic come from? Like, honestly, like the guy's already come out and said, was it Josh, the son? He's already come out and said, I'm not selling him. I'm not selling the club. So this whole news of the Spotify owner and all of that coming in to buy the club with the players, bro, this dream, I don't know where it came from. It's not happening. Just get used to these owners being at the club for another few years. I'm sorry.
Yeah, mate. Do you know what? I read The Athletic this morning. I've spoken to some people, not in the football industry, but just finances, and nobody from a professional standpoint, a money background, thinks they're going to sell. And the only two ways they think it will happen is an offer which is ridiculous, double the valuation of the club, and no billionaire is giving away an extra £1-2 billion just to buy a football club. They're just fucking never going to do that. No businessman would do it. Secondly, the only other way around is to actually boycott properly. And I know I've had a lot of shit in the last week for saying this, but I believe 90% of all protesters at all these clubs will not stop purchasing club merchandise, tickets, fan channels. Like, we announced the signing of a re-signing of Bay the other day. 27,000 retweets. What the fuck are these 27,000 people? You still following the club? I didn't know the news came out because I've blocked everything Man United, like from the official. But these fuckers, it's like, you're still following the fucking the club's Twitter. Like, I bet you clicked on the fucking link on the website. Do you realize they earn money through advertising on the web? I just get annoyed. Like,
It reminds me of when DT was talking to Lee Judges, and Lee Judges was like, "Oh, yeah, I just bought that." If you remember,
the tracksuit, yeah, and they will, man. Lucky gal here. Look at that. Is it shirt and tie? Look at you looking smart.
Yeah, what's good, man? I wanted to talk about the Nagelman thing, man. Let's be honest. I think Anita said something, if you remember, on the stream when we were talking about Nagelsmann to Spurs, that it would never happen. And I was one of the people who also said it would never happen, because why would you take a step backwards in your career? I get Tottenham is probably makes more money than Leipzig and has more financial clout than Leipzig, but as a man like Julian Naglesmann, who's built his career from where he's gone to now being at Leipzig in the Champions League, doing his thing, why would he take a step backwards, go out of the Champions League, go to a team that's rebuilding again, when you can go to a finished entity, the beast that is Bayern Munich, and you know what? He stays in his comfort zone of staying in the German league. That, to me, makes more sense than him ever being linked to Tottenham. I think the Tottenham link was just to make sure the Bayern Munich thing got pushed through a little bit faster. They used Tottenham the same way that sometimes players use other clubs to push their agendas and things to work out for them quicker, and it fast tracked him to get that Bayern Munich job.
Gal, are you saying Tottenham are a small club?
They've always been.
Listen, I don't have to say it. The Premier League are saying it. Did you see the Hall of Fame announcement? They put up a list of players that could make the next Hall of Fame. Not one Tottenham player are even on the list. They made a hypothetical picture with like 50 players. You know how many Tottenham players were in that list? I think one.
I kind of feel insulted that Steven Gerrard. Gerrard was on that list, right?
Gerrard's gonna. Gerrard will go in.
I ain't gonna lie. I feel insulted that Gerrard's on that list.
Gerrard. Even though I completely disagree with
Listen,
it,
David Silva and company are on the list too.
No, they deserve to be on the list. Let's whoa. Don't say that, bro. Company and
I'm not saying anything bad. I'm saying a lot of people are on that list because they are more recently known. It's not. There's a lot of people who the way fantasy, the way it works over in North America and the way it works here is completely different. You got people shouting, "Why isn't Aguero on the list?" Aguero is still playing. You can't be on the list if you're still playing.
Yeah,
David Silva and Vincent Company deserve to be on that list. Like, they're all-time Premier League greats. I just think because Man City's have no fans, they're not.
You guys already know. You guys already know my four. Alan Shearer. Henry.
One second. Yeah, you've got. I think you've got to have been retired by August 2020 to be eligible. I think if David Silva and Aguero and company, Yaya Toure, those four, if it depends on when they retire, but Yaya and company, in my opinion, should go on that list ever before Steven Gerrard. There's no doubt about it. Agal, you're making your point.
Yeah, you guys already know my list. I said if you're gonna go for like greatest of all time, you're gonna have to first induct Henry and Shearer, which they've done, and I think the next two is at least two of the Manchester United guys. Which, in my opinion, I think you need to put Scholes and Rooney before Giggs, based on his things that he's done, and you don't want to tarnish the reputation of those people in the Hall of Fame. I don't think Ryan Giggs, in my opinion, should ever go in that list. Ever.
Well,
based on the recent case, based on everything that's gone on with him personally, it should supersede everything he's done footballing wise, and he shouldn't be ever on that list. The Hall of Fame.
One second. Hang on. We have to wait for him to be proven guilty first. I mean, I'm not saying like he has to be, because if he's proven. No, he does. Hang on, Gal. So if he's proven, hang on. If he's proven innocent, say they find him innocent. And it gets, you know, when Raheem Sterling was charged and taken to court for hitting a woman, but it was thrown out almost instantly in hearing. As soon as the evidence was presented, he was exonerated and found guilty, but he was charged and went to court. So based on your logic, Raheem Sterling's career should be written off just because he went to court.
Listen,
You have to find someone guilty before we say they should never be in the Hall of Fame. Come on, Nico. You can't.
That's true.
That's true.
Listen, depending on who the board and the people who are picking this are, they can have their own biases. And I've seen it with the NFL, with other people not being selected because of their past actions in their career and off the field. So a lot of off the field things can tarnish your reputation. And that's what I'm saying.
It's true. So that means John Terry shouldn't be on the list then?
I don't know what John... Oh, yeah.
No, I agree. Like the thing is, when it comes to these Hall of Fames and things like that, if you look at the WWE, there's certain like people they won't induct. Like I remember listening to Stone Cold and Triple H talk about, I think, Chyna, the female wrestler, because of her, obviously her porn history and all that stuff. That's the reason why they're not inducting her into that Hall of Fame, innit? And I think when it comes to a lot of these Hall of Fames, it's more a PR thing. So the reason why Giggs is obviously not on this list, even though I feel like if you're just talking based on Premier League players, Giggs probably should be the number one player. I'm sorry, if you ask me, it's not spoken about enough how great and how the longevity of this guy is as well in the Premier League. He should, to me, be the number one player on this list.
Yeah, and I agree.
But because of PR, obviously, then they didn't include him in this list because of what's going on with him right now. And I think because of that, John Terry might not be included on this list as well because we saw him in 4K. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what's interesting though is it's going to be, as you say, it's where they draw the line on PR. So with what Giggs has been accused of, if he's guilty, I love Ryan Giggs. I grew up adoring him. If he's done what he's been accused of doing, you will see nobody more forthright in the condemnation of him and the sort of stripping of status from myself. I don't care what anybody else thinks about him. You won't see anybody else do it quicker and harder than me. But if he's found innocent, the stuff that he did, the cheating stuff, I draw the line at that because for me, that's just life. Because actually, you'll find there's a lot of footballers who have cheated, but we tend to, like we always say, there's like a British bias. We tend to only ever really focus on the British guy that did it. I swear, like I remember reading these stories like Michael Essien was a dirt bag, but no, it weren't in the British press because there was no sort of vested interest in it. As an example, if you then start going, well, they need to be cleaner than clean. What you'll then find is fan bases going out and digging so much dirt out about people and about, all players, all of our legends have got like some shady things from their past. You know what I mean? Women, strippers, parking tickets, fights, arguments. Like, where did you draw the line? Do you reckon Joey Barton will make it, by the way?
Hell no.
Yeah, but I hear you guys on that one. It's an interesting one for me, but I think what they need to focus on, there needs to be that element of ensuring that top class legendary players with winners medals, I feel like they have to be prioritized.
Yeah, like Matt
Matt
Letizia should not get in there before some of these other guys. Let's be real. If Matt Letizia gets in that list before Vieira or anything like that, that's ridiculous.
Neither should Steven Gerrard. Sorry.
Why?
If you don't win a Prem, I'm sorry. You can't even get in over. Did Francis Jeffers win a Prem?
Might have done. He might have been on the bench, Yeah.
Well, then he should get in over Steven Gerrard too. I'm sorry.
My man has to wait for Alan Smith, bro. Alan Smith for United deserves to be in there more, fam. You know what I'm saying? Anderson and them man there, bro.
It's like with Drogba. It's like Drogba is a legendary player, but I don't think he should go in anytime soon.
What?
Because, no, genuine. No,
kick this guy off.
Because most of Drogba's things that we talk about when it comes to Drogba is outside the Premier League anyway. He
won the Prem and was the Golden Boot winner. What are you talking about?
But there are a list of strikers above him if you just were to look at Premier League career, there are a list of strikers above him. There are.
Bro, he's a two-time. Wait. He's a two-time Golden Boot winner. 2 times. Yeah. He won the Prem with 29 goals. Yeah. Winning the Prem. Very influential in winning that Prem. Please name me how many other strikers have done. And even they always bring up Drogba and Harry Kane. Has Harry Kane carried his team to a title? Has he?
I can name 5 strikers better than him, and he doesn't
Stop
even
it.
make my top 5. Let's be
Stop
real.
it. Stop
Let's
it.
be real.
Stop.
You got
In the
Rooney,
Premier League.
Van Nistelrooy, Henry, Shearer,
Wrong.
and Aguero. You're telling me he's
No,
better than
no,
any of
no,
those 5
no.
guys? You're
No,
you're on something,
yes,
bro.
he's better than Van
You're
Nistelrooy.
on
I'm
something.
sorry.
Nah,
Yes, he's
nah,
better than Van Nistelrooy.
nah.
I'm
He's not
sorry.
better than Van
I'll take
Nistelrooy.
him over
He's
Wayne
not better
Rooney.
than
I'll
Rooney.
take him
He's
over
not
Wayne
better than
Rooney.
Henry. He's not better than
Nah,
Shearer. He's not better than Aguero.
Can I ask you a question, Gal?
It's
Can I
not-
ask you a question, Gal? Should Tony Adams be on the list?
Tony Adams, as a defender, if we're
Should be.
talking about defenders, he could be on the list, but it doesn't mean he's going to get inducted.
But would you be surprised? Do you think? I mean, he's one of the greatest centre backs the Premier League
Vieira
ever
should get inducted before Tony Adams because
had.
Tony
Tony Adams be allowed in?
Tony Adams won what is it? 2?
I think he won more than one.
No, he won 3 Premier Leagues, right? He won one Division 1 title. I think he should be considered, and he definitely should be one of the candidates to go in. But there's a lot of people before him, and if they're going to only induct 4 to 5 players or every 3 years, that he's not going to make the list for a while.
So the reason I ask you is you do realize Tony Adams went to prison during his time at Arsenal.
Yeah, I know he went through a lot of troubles and tribulations. If they're looking at, once again, if they're looking at ethics and they're looking at what the person's gone through in their life, and they feel like he's done something to and he puts shame to the honors of the Hall of Fame, then he won't make it. I'm gonna still stand by that. If they feel like ethics is a part of this, he might not make it.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting one for me. Tony Adams, to me, should be very high up on the list. Again, younger football fans may not remember how good he was. I suppose, as you say, when it comes to ethics, he went to prison for different reasons. The gigs he'd been arrested for, which was drink driving. I think he spent
What about Ian Wright?
2 or 3 months. Ian Wright, I think he's on the shortlist. He should be there. I think Ian Wright should be considered. There's no doubt. Ida Johnson should be there. Like, he'll be nowhere near it.
But he spent time too. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but didn't he spend time before
he became a footballer?
Yeah, he spent time before he became a footballer. So that's got nothing to do.
But that's the point I'm making about. I think the Premier League will need to come out with a statement. Say if they kick gigs out, there almost needs to be a statement saying what or why. Because what will end up, you know what rival fans are like. For me, if Ian Wright's in it, you'll not see me bat an eyelid. I think Ian Wright's a wonderful man who's done brilliant things on and off the pitch. Football, he deserves to be there. There's no doubt about it. I think that Tony Adams, as an example, yes, he went to prison for drink driving, but I think the way he's turned his life around, I know he does a lot of work, great footballer, a lot of charity work. I think he deserves to be there. The Ryan Giggs thing, it's a little different. Do you know what I mean? It's involving domestic violence. I think it's a very different thing altogether. But I think they're going to have to draw a line and explain what and why if it comes down to ethics. Otherwise, that's what the debate's going to be about, because you know how tribalistic football fans are. There's no doubt. Is the Hall of Fame for success or for players itself? Should be for a combination of the two. It should be for a combination of the two for me. You could judge.
Exclude Steven Gerrard, Michael Owen, Ian, all them Liverpool boys. Exclude all of them.
Really?
Well, they haven't done anything in the Premier League, though. That's the thing. They haven't. And also, Gerrard literally cost his team a Premier League title.
Like,
and actually, ironically, today's the day.
Yo, you do realize they're gonna induct players that have not won major honors, because they need to make it a Premier League Hall of Fame. It's not just the Premier League winners.
I agree with that, but at the same time, they shouldn't go in above other players.
Yeah, can you imagine? Can you imagine Matt Letizia goes in before Paul Scholes and Lampard or something? That would just be ridiculous.
No, but how about this? What if they do a mass induction to make it to start it off? Because right now there's so much people that need to be put in. They need to increase the numbers.
That will dilute it. That will dilute the Hall of Fame. That's why they're doing it the way it is. Because if you just say, okay, here's 30 players in the Hall of Fame, it's just like, oh, that's kind of dead.
No, but that's what the NBA did. They inducted like.
But we're better than the NBA. Like, do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, we are like we're bigger and better sport.
Bigger and better, bro.
It is bigger and better. Yeah.
Bigger and better. So you do it right. Like whoever goes in next, we've all got our own preferences. But those individuals should have their moment where they're in the limelight and they're being celebrated. You throw 30 in at once, it's just disrespectful. It's almost like, yeah, well done, you lot. And then when you put in Letizia a month later, he gets more attention. That's weird. But they will mix it up. We know they will, because they're going to want all fans to be interested in who goes in. It's why I think Teddy Sheringham might go in one day. I think he will. But when he goes in, I think they'll make him look more like a Spursy West Hammy player than Man United. I think they will, just to get like the pictures will be of him in the Spurs shirt more. If they show clips, and there's 10 clips, it'll be like 60-70% will be at other clubs and a little bit of Man United, just so they feel involved. They'll just do that. They always do. It's like when David Ginola won Player of the Year in 1999. Imagine a club winning a treble, but somebody else getting Player of the Year. It's crazy. It wouldn't happen now.
Charlie Adam at
Would
Stoke
they induct managers? Obviously, they're going to induct managers. They're going to probably induct announcers. They're going to induct pundits. Are they going to do all that, you think?
Speaking of announcers, they could do. Do you know, speaking of announcers, I didn't realize, you know, the wealthiest man ever, but take out including promoters. Do you know who the wealthiest man in boxing is?
Is it Warren Buffett or whatever?
It's Buffer. It's Buffer, isn't it?
Buffer, yeah, the announcer, yeah. He makes like 5 million announcement, isn't it? Something like that.
Because he's also copyrighted the Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
Get ready to rumble.
And because it's been used, like I was reading that his voice saying that has been used in something like over 10,000 different songs. And it's like he gets like the mind made something. I was like, wow, imagine the announcer being richer than every other boxer ever. It's fair. Here we go.
Copyright your laugh.
Is it fair? Is it fair that Chelsea were founded in 2004 by a billionaire?
Oh, allow it. But yet they finished above Liverpool in 2003. Oh, yeah.
It is fair.
All I'm saying to that, yeah, who flipping cares, man? If you're good, you're good.
No. But we were founded in 2004, yet we could finish above Liverpool in 2003. Like, have you no shame, bro? Like, come on.
there we go. We've got one final call on Mohammed's here with us. What you saying, Mohammed?
Just wanted to talk about the Nagelsmann to Bayern Munich. I think Bayern Munich, that's really good for them, and I don't see it being a long-term. Only see him staying 3 seasons and moving on, only because I see him winning a few Champions League and a few Bundesligas as well. And I just want to touch on the Gerrard not being on the Hall of Fame kind of thing. I think he has to be on there just because what he's done over the years for Liverpool. I know he's not won the Premier League. There's lesser players that have won the Premier League. There was sorry, excuse me. There's been lesser players that won the Premier League compared to Gerrard. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, it's better.
Here's the thing, man. No one's
and
saying
N'Golo Kante is better than Gerrard. Simple as that.
Oh, listen. No one's saying that.
Has Kante won the Champions League though?
He's won the World Cup, though. Has Gerrard ever touched that?
This is Premier League Hall of Fame. So
talking about club level, mate. We're talking about club level, not World Cup.
No. You want to go above and beyond. Has Gerrard ever sniffed a World Cup medal, bruv? Has he ever sniffed one?
Yeah,
exactly. You stay silent. Come on, bro.
This was my point.
No one's saying that he should never ever get in there. No one's saying that. He should just be near the bottom of the list. Because there's better man who won Premier Leagues before him. Like
that's my
I'm
point.
Be honest with you. I'm going to be honest when it comes to Steven Gerrard, and this is no salt. This is legit. I think he shouldn't even get on the list before Henderson retires and becomes eligible. Henderson's done 10 years at Liverpool, and he's won a Prem and a Champions League. Steven Gerrard would swap his Liverpool career for Jordan Henderson's. He would swap it. He would give up 2 FA Cups and 3 League Cups for a Champions League and a Premier League. Facts.
That's true. He's their greatest ever captain.
Henderson deserves it more than Gerrard. He's their greatest ever captain.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it should be more based on ability than of what we've won over the years, though.
Stop it, bro.
Both. It's both, bruv. It's both. It's got to be based on both. It has to be based on both. Do you know what I mean? Not circumventing activities.
But how about this, Terry? If he doesn't get inducted for like 20 years, what if they start putting a limit? You have to be inducted in this time period, and you never get inducted in that time period, then you're off the list, and they have to put in the.
You know what they should do? You know they should create a category for effort. Do you know what I mean? Greatest ever effort, and give that to Steven Gerrard. Simple as that.
Yeah, and on your point, Igal, my only word would be unlucky. Unlucky. That's all I would say to it. It is. Look at this. I love this. This is the most. Listen, I know he's only joking, but this is the most ironic comment from a Liverpool fan ever.
He's a trophy man.
Look at the image.
Trophy
Yeah,
matches.
exactly.
Picture.
Oh,
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
It's
and
brilliant.
man just upset they can't. It can only win one trophy at a time, innit? Like,
Thank
that's
you,
what-
Mohammed. Thank you for coming on, bro. I really
No problem.
appreciate it. Yeah, listen, he's a
Trophy
top
matches.
player, but do you know what it is? People always think you're being salty because you're talking Liverpool. But if you just think midfielders, Lampard and Scholes have to go in before Gerrard, right? And then on top of that, Vieira, hang on, I'm messed up. Vieira, Yaya, Lampard, Scholes,
David.
David Silva.
David,
David
he ain't
Silva.
retired yet. He's still playing football.
Oh yeah, true.
Oh,
Actually, yeah, he's
but there's like so many.
Those five off the top of my head going before Gerrard, right? Plus, you've got Rooney's, you've got Drogba's, John Terry's, Rio Ferdinand, Vidic's, Ashley Cole, Patrice Evra, Gary Neville,
Cantona.
Dennis Bergkamp, right? Perez, Emmanuel. All of these players are more
Even
deserving.
Tom Cleverly, bro, deserves to be in there more than my guy.
But keep it serious for a minute. All those players I've named are legends within the Prem and within their own positions, every bit as good as Gerrard was as a midfielder. But they all won multiple Premier Leagues. He can't go in before them. And if you're only saying what you're saying is right, Gal, that it's 2 or 3 every couple of years, Gerrard's got to be waiting almost as long as Liverpool did to win a Prem. He has to be put back. If he goes in, imagine he goes in before Ashley Cole, before
Isn't it Ashley Cole invincible?
and do you know what's mad, Terry? They tried to say, "Oh yeah, he didn't have the team," but when you look at the Leicester team to Liverpool's teams, I mean, come on, man, is there a comparison? I'm sorry, like Liverpool's 2009 team was just as good as that Leicester team, and
not even about the Leicester team. Like, man had the opportunity to win it, and he bottled it. He bottled it in at home against Chelsea, and then Istanbul happened. You can't go in before these, man. When you literally had it in your hands, and you dropped the bag. You can't.
But it isn't even.
And Terry, you know what the worst part is for Liverpool fans?
Yeah, go on.
You know what the worst part is for Liverpool fans? They always talk about how they're the biggest club, they're the second biggest club in England, this, that. The Premier League Hall of Fame, not English Football Hall of Fame. So it's going to take you guys so long to get your players in, because at this rate, if all these players have to get in and it's 2 to 3 players every year, it's going to be a situation where Van Dijk and Mo Salah might retire, and that's when you start getting Liverpool players in. Because at this point, if it's every 2 to 3 years, there's a long list before those guys get in.
No, there is, and on the Liverpool Gerrard thing, not planning good teams, that's a revision of history, because I remember when you had your 06, 07, 08 teams, 09 teams, the teams that Suarez was in, as examples, the early 90s teams. I know he wasn't in those, but you've had multiple Premier League teams where at the beginning of seasons, Liverpool fans, pundits and journalists have said, this team can challenge, this team can win the league. You've gone on runs within multiple seasons where you would say, oh, we're in a title race. It's only when you look back, you say they were trash, because you realize that they weren't as good as the other teams around them. But you thought they could win leagues. You believed they were good enough at the time. So to say that Gerrard played with trash, he's just revising history. It's an absolute nonsense. You can't sit there in the moment saying we're one of the best and then look back when you didn't win anything, say we're rubbish. No, you weren't rubbish.
It's an insult to those players as well.
Yeah, it was just Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United had better managers and better teams, but your teams were still really good. You just weren't as good as ours. Do you know what I mean? It's just crazy. It's just a nonsense. But listen, everyone who's tuned in today, a massive thank you to all of you. Back later on today, PSG Man City preview coming up at 5:30, and then of course live after the Chelsea Real Madrid game tonight, which is going to be absolutely epic. But until then, take care. Goodbye.